Revisions. You've just worked really, really hard writing the first draft of your story, but you're not finished. You have got to make that story better. And to make it better, that means you're going to have to make some changes. There's not a single author out there in the world who gets their story right on the very first draft. You have to do another draft and another draft and another draft. I will do 10 drafts. And to do that, well, there's a couple tools. I like to print out my manuscript, and I like to get a red pen to make up some markings. And I don't know, today maybe we'll use an axe. It's always helpful to get feedback on something you've written. So here I am with some of my author friends. They've just read a book that I've written, and they're giving me some advice and some notes on what I can do to make that book even better. And some of that advice involves cutting things out. Now, can it be upsetting to have somebody give you feedback and tell you that some part of your story is not working that well? Sure, that can be a little upsetting, but it's important for you to know that. It's good to get feedback from other people. They might notice something that you missed. So who is a good person to get feedback from? It's maybe a good idea to give your story to somebody you trust. It could be one of your parents, it could be one of your friends, it could be a sibling. It's good to have someone that you really respect their opinion to read something of yours. And actually, I'll tell you this, if you're giving notes to somebody, it always helps to tell them what they did well, in addition to telling them what you think they did wrong. Now, it's possible that somebody might give you a note that you don't necessarily agree with, but it's important to even listen to that note and say, well, why is this person giving me this note? So having a conversation with somebody about the notes that they have actually can be a really good way for you both to figure out how to improve your story. So one of the hardest things to do when you're editing is sometimes cutting things that you really like. There are different ways that people describe this process. I believe Stephen King famously called it killing your darlings. Sometimes it could be just a line or two. Sometimes it could be an entire sequence. Sometimes it could even be an entire chapter. And it's not easy to do that, but it's in service of making your story better. So when I first wrote Belly Up, the original version of that book was in third person. And my editor came to me and said, I think this story would work much better in first person. Well, that was going to be a lot of work to change the story from third person to first person. And I knew that, but I also knew that my editor's note was a really, really good one. And I really needed to listen to it. So I sat down and I figured out how to change the entire story of Belly Up to first person. And it really became a better book because of my editor's note. So remember, nobody gets their story right in the first draft. Find some people that you trust to give you feedback. And if you give feedback to somebody, make sure you say some nice things. Now, I know this might sound really difficult to have to make all these revisions, but it's going to be worth it. The point is to make your story better. There's another good cut.